Pooja from Good Times India, and one is always nervous when one's favorite book is being adapted on screen.
Yeah.
This one ticked all the boxes for me. It was just
Right.
fabulous. And I'm a huge fan of the title sequence, which I've been watching over and over again. Thank you. But both of you come with very different sensibilities. So, and in your approach towards narrative. So, what was it like to play together in adapting this epic, into a lovely 8 series, show?
Exhilarating. I like to gamble. I think this show, but I truly do think this show, they weren't risk averse. They really went for it and they gambled, and that was absolutely just so exciting that they take a chance like that.
Yeah, me too. I mean, it's probably, we didn't get to work side by side as much as we worked sort of in tandem and seeing and trying to really support what each of us were doing. And, and it was exhilarating to see the spectrum of our styles be coalesce in this one series. And probably, maybe one of my favorite parts of that I take away from it is getting to collaborate and just and even this be in conversation with Justin is great. It's really special.
And it was amazing, the treatment, because you have 2 timelines coming simultaneously. It's not linear like the book, and also the color palette. What was most challenging for the 2 of you? I mean, honestly.
So when you were watching the series, were you just nervous the entire time? Because it was based off of your favorite book.
No, I enjoyed it. I wouldn't want it any other way.
Were you holding the armrest like
No, I was
gripping
like this. Rather, I was like
this? Oh, wonderful. What was the question one more time?
What was most challenging? What was most challenging?
Just trying to have enough time. Like the scripts are so dense and massive in terms of just even page count that you're just and we're doing half the season each all at the same time, and to be honest, it was like almost like a hazing of entering television. It was like just to go through it. Like I felt like after this experience, I was like, I am capable of anything.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it was enormous. We come from the independent film world, and there was just so much ambition for this project. And like you said, all the stuff that resonates, the details of the texture and the costumes and so if we didn't care about the details, it would have been easier because we could have just plowed through it. But we had this limited time, but we did care about all the atmosphere of this series. So to try to include all of those elements within the amount of time and resources, and it's just not just us, but the whole team who are all trying to execute at that level was the greatest challenge. It was an everyday challenge.
And awesome, an amazing cast, the multi-hyphenated Miss Youn and Lee Min-ho. And then you have actors who are new and starting out, not known to the Western world. What was that like? I mean, what an awesome ensemble.
Also exciting. I think the sort of more safe thing to do would be to cast all well-known famous actors, and there was certainly so many wonderful actors that came in and read for the part, but to take somebody who's so just special and has such a presence about her in Minha, I thought was so exciting to see this woman embody this role and just a true discovery. So when people experience this, that they don't have some preconceived or past sort of history with this actress, and that is exciting.
True. And lastly, also as creators, and also just you're an actor, singer, and with given the popularity of South Korean content, do you think this is going to influence the kind of stories? Because now these kind of stories have not been told to a Western audience, and also get us more representation. And this is to the 2 of you.
Yeah, I hope so. I think it will. You know, I do think we're at a real critical moment in the consumption of media and film and TV, where there is a more global palette, and I think that's really exciting and a greater taste. And America has not always been great about that, you know. And I think what's wonderful is we see it in the food world. You know, like, you know, now you can go in the South and you can order ramen or sushi. You can go in all these places where it used to just be like, you know, a certain kind of taste in this culture. But there is a real openness, for the most part, you know, to consume different flavors and have an appreciation for it. I hope that's the case, because, you know, it makes for a more diverse, deep human experience. So hopefully.
Thank you so much. And thank you for bringing us this wonderful adaptation. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And I watched it like this.
Thanks.
Hi, and they rightly call you, you know, who has the rare talent to write across space and time. And when I saw the adaptation of my favorite book, as I say, I mean, you've done a fabulous job.
Thank you.
But seriously, tell me, how challenging was it to adapt over a 500-page book that spans 8 decades, multi-generational, and also to, you know, stay true to the writer's narrative and then adapt it on screens? How challenging was that?
I mean, I think, first of all, it's really wonderful to be able to work from really great source material, right? Sometimes that's not always the case. I love adaptations. I find that challenge exciting. And it always begins with a question of, why do I want to bring this book to cinematic life? You know, I have no interest in just doing something straight. I have no interest in that. I'm not the adapter for that. And like, if you're going to bring a book to the screen, you have to say something. And why is this being told? And once I figured out the dialogue between past and present, once I realized that the first generation and third generation can take up the same screen space in the show, then all of a sudden, I know how to do this show. I know what this show is, and that was really, really exciting.
Absolutely, and the way you've shown it, as the book also starts, do we ever learn from history? No, we don't. You know, so it was just perfect the way you've treated it. Also, making the series for Apple, what were the considerations? Because this is one aspect of Asian history that we've not seen in Western narratives and adaptations as such.
Yeah, I mean, 6 years ago, I think this show could never have been made, right? And I think it's a testament to the streamers that because they work in a global environment, right, for the streamers, shows like this can be made. And also, it's a testament to the audience and what they want. Just when you look at the content that people are consuming and watching, it's so diverse, and it shows you that people are craving new stories. They're craving experiences from people that we haven't heard from before. It's a really exciting time, I think, to be in television.
Absolutely. And also with South Korean content, you know, I mean, the way it's breaking records, streaming as well as at award ceremonies. Do you feel there is also this pressure, I would say, to make the next big breakout show should be something that has, you know, some reference to Korea?
I mean, when we sold the show, Parasite and Squid Game hadn't even come out yet, right? So there was never there wasn't that conversation. But I am just so I love Parasite and I love Squid Game so much that I'm just so happy that we get to ride on their coattails, because they're exceptional work. I think the burden on this show is whether or not a show that's multi-language can work. And whether or not but I think the audiences are really smart. I don't think that's going to be a barrier to entry anymore.
Absolutely, and it's been thoroughly enjoyable, and I actually didn't mind them switching across languages. Fabulous, and thank you so much for bringing my favorite book to life.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hi, Theresa and Micheal. Firstly, many, many congratulations on a fabulous adaptation.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
And I think this was just perfect. So I want to ask you both, when did you decide to adapt this particular book? It's like 500 pages into one of the most short narratives I've ever seen.
Well, first of all, thank you so much. It was definitely, it required creative thinking, of course. You know, adaptation from book to film and series is its own unique task. And our showrunner, Soo Hugh, had a vision for it where, whereas the book is a linear story, the series, as you may know, it's a dialogue between different generations. And that's an idea that Sue came up with. And the one, when you look at our cast and how they elevated even the characters in the story, you know, when you look at Youn Yuh Jung, who is this iconic Korean actor, yes, she's won the Oscar. We actually asked her if she won the Oscar because we knew of her incredible talents for several decades. She's really a legend. And then having Lee Min-ho, he elevated the character of Hansu that was even in the story, in the book. He made him feel even more complicated. He felt you understood where he was coming from more, and he's a powerful individual. And so when we came to it, I first sent it to Soo Hugh, the showrunner, and we had a conversation about Sue's ability to be a producer and showrunner, coupled with her ability as a talented writer, that it was very rare 4 years ago to sell something like this. It was right at that time period where Crazy Rich Asians was about to come out. And that was important because it was a studio film. And prior to Crazy Rich Asians, it had been 25 years since there had been another all-Asian studio-led film, Enjoy Luck Club. These projects are very unique. In between there was also Mira Nair's film, which we use also as inspiration. But this is a few years before Parasite won the Oscar. So it was a strange time, and we all felt, and Sue felt, that it needed to be told in these languages, and we wanted to be authentic to the story.
Absolutely, and the casting, as you said, was just on point. These were the people I actually thought would have been the people in the book. But you know, it's amazing because this part of South Asian history has not been depicted for the Western audience. And now we've seen the way South Korean production, content, actors, I mean, are being globally watched. Do you feel that, you know, this is what creators want to tap into, and also creating for a platform like Apple, a story like this?
I do. I think that we're all cinephiles. Michael's a cinephile. Sue's definitely a cinephile. You know, I think it's interesting that Korean content is now so much more well-known. And I think it has to do with the distribution platforms. With Apple being a global service, I think that allows more access. The truth is, I grew up watching Korean films, Korean dramas, and listening to K-pop for a few decades. So this was not new to me. I knew how excellent Korean artists were. My mother's also a classically trained pianist, so arts and entertainment was flowing in our home. But I believe now it's more of a, the eyes are on South Korea and the artistry there, but I think it's because now it's equalized.
Yeah, I'll add to that. If you're in India, I mean, K-drama has been big for a long time outside Korea. So some of this is about like, were you paying attention, right? So Theresa and I take on hard tasks, right? So 4.5 years ago, it wasn't obvious in Hollywood necessarily, but if you were watching closely, Korean cinema had already conquered the planet, and at art level had conquered the planet. But you know, I guess my belief, our belief, you know, that there is less of a gap between art house and mainstream than people think, and people are connected to great stories, great storytelling. And Korean culture, Korean society, it's a global civilization. You know, it draws from the region. It has a connection to America, and so the Korean perspective on the world is compelling, right? And so the internal success of the Korean cinema and television has and K-pop and literature. It's a culturally vital place, and this experience in the novel, we were so convinced was a universal experience. My own family background is, you know, my father was born in Germany. His family fled Germany, went to Panama for 2 years before coming to America. He was stationed actually in Korea as a captain in the US Army 25 years later. And that's when you hear these stories, they're wild, but we all have these sagas in our past, right? And so that was really our conceit, was that if you looked at this material, yes, it's incredibly specific, and and wonderfully so, meaning it's great to learn about the Korean experience, the Zainichi experience, Korean American, Asian American experience. But it speaks so much to everyone's experience, right? Stories about displacement, refugees, identity, family, most essentially, right? You're in India. I mean, these aren't themes that are unique to Korea and Zainichi. It's a universal story, we felt, and we hope audiences agree.
Thank you so much, and thank you, because there's a nervousness when your book is being adapted into a film, but this is fabulous. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.